What up, Homedawgs? My name is Gokey Gamer, and welcome everybody to the NBBL Week 2, where this week we're going to be taking on none other than Matt, coach of the New England Rock and Rollers. So once again, this will be a post-commentary, and actually I realized last week that there wasn't just 3 videos that had weird audio, there was 4. So it's going to be this one, and then the Luxury Ball Division video that's going to be going up on Sunday also had issues as well. Now, if you're seeing this video, you're probably seeing this on Friday instead of Thursday. The reason being is because the SDA is on a bye week, so I'm saving week 2 for next week. So you'll be seeing week 3 of NBBL on Thursday, week 2 of SDA on Friday, and then Master Ball and Luxury Ball on the, week 7 for both of them on Saturday and Sunday. So, I just want to let you guys know about that. But anyways, regardless, let's go ahead and talk about the team. So here we go. Plop! A very, very terrifying team indeed, with Roaring Moon, we got Scizor, we got Thundurus-Therian, we've got a Gothitelle that can turn into a Psychic, Fairy, or Ground-type, Milotic, Florges, Shaman that can turn into a Grass, Steel, or Ground-type, Ninetales, Hitmontop, Quillfish, and Metang that can turn into a Steel, Flying, or Ghost-type. Overall, this is a very, very scary team. I'm fully expecting Scizor to probably come. I'm expecting Gothitelle to probably make an appearance. Milotic definitely making an appearance. Roaring Moon, I think, is a very obvious bring as well. Possibly Thundurus-Therian as well. We could see the Florges. We could see maybe Shaman. We could see Hitmontop. We could even see Quillfish, honestly, for the Chien-Pao. I think that is a very, very likely bring. So, yeah, this is overall a very, very tough matchup for us, but I am still going into this feeling fairly confident, and okay, we do stand a pretty decent chance here. So, I'm going to go ahead, hit play, and let's see what my opponent, Matt, ends up bringing. As always, I would say good luck, have fun, if the audio is available. And we see Roaring Moon, Thundurus, Milotic, Florges, Shaman, and Hitmontop. I am extremely shocked to not see Gothitelle or Scizor here. Shaman being there is terrifying, because Shaman can do a lot of really cool things. I have Shaman in the SDA, and I'm very excited to try out a lot of sets with it. But yeah, so this is a little bit scary to see this team, and not seeing the Scizor or the Gothitelle. I did have the Cerulege for Scizor, just in case. But, unfortunately, that didn't come. We also have the Colbert Berry, because we also have Close Combat for the Roaring Moon. This is going to be a very tough matchup. This is going to be very, very tough, unfortunately for us. So, we could lead Weasel Town. We could lead, a few other things. We could lead the Cobalion, which we actually do opt to lead. So, we're leading Shukaberry, Blueberry, Goat-Ku, because hopefully we can, take on, the Terra Ground Shaman, or the Roaring Moon, etc. So, I'm going to go ahead, say, the good luck happens to my opponent. Really love that card, by the way. I absolutely love that shiny. Such a beautiful shiny. But, yes. So, here we go. We see hitting the field, outfield, the Roaring Moon. So this is a very, very amazing lead for us, because Roaring Moon can't do anything to me. Because I have the Shukaberry, I can just freely go for an Aura Sphere here to knock this thing out, or even a Metal Sound. There is a lot of things I could do here. I just go for the Aura Sphere. As we see, my opponent click U-turn, so they do risk the fact that I could have been Scarfed there, which is impressive, because Aura Sphere would have done a crap ton of damage, if not straight up KO'd. So that is very important to note, unless it was Assault Vest. And I also could have been physical. I could have been close combat physical. So we do see Blondie come back in, which is going to be the Milotic, which is going to be a bit of an issue. We see the Aura Sphere here, bada bing, bada boom, dealing a decent chunk of damage, and we also see the burn. So this does reveal that it is in fact Marble Scale, and this is going to be a bit annoying. So I'm going to be like, crap. So, because Milotic is a very annoying Pokemon to try and take out. We do opt to go, I think about going for the Volt Switch into Water Balloon, because I do very much value webs in this matchup. So I go for the Volt Switch here and pray to God that my opponent actually stays in and does not click Flip Turn. So I do go for the Volt Switch here to get some chip off on this thing. And, let's see here. Let's see what my opponent does. So I click Volt Switch here, and I think about what I want to switch in, and I end up switching in the Araquanid. Water Balloon! Let's go. And my opponent unfortunately does go for a Flip Turn, which technically does Diddly Squat versus me. And by Diddly Squat I mean 10 hit points of damage. And then they go into Zeppelin, which is going to be the Thundurus. We do see Thundurus hit the field here. I'm just going to go ahead. I immediately swap into Mushword. Mushword is always my switch in into this Thundurus. And because, Special Thundurus can't do anything to this Toedscruel. So I'm like, okay, this will be fine. Go into Toedscruel. We see Acrobatics. This was an amazing play by my opponent. Absolutely mad respect for Physical Thundurus. I've been wanting to bring Physical Thundurus for a while now in the SPDA. So seeing it here was really, really fun, and I was like, oh crap, this is actually a bit of a problem. However, I do see the, physical acrobatics, so I'm thinking, okay, I can just go into Qian Pao here and just click Icicle Crash or Crunch or literally anything here. My opponent does not want to risk staying in. It's definitely not Scarfed by this point. At this point, I think, based on the damage, it was either going to be Choice Banded or no item at all. So I felt very free going into Weasel Town here just to click a button, just to click the Life Orb button. And, yeah, so we do see the swap here, bada bing, bada boom, and then we also are going to see Rush come in, and I'm like, okay, what is Rush? Rush is none other than Hitmontop, but we don't see that it actually has the, whatchamacallit. We don't see that it has Intimidate. It does have Technician, and Icicle Crash does a crap ton of damage. And so here I'm thinking about, if I remember correctly, I do have Ice Shard on this team, or on this Bring. I do have Ice Shard, so go ahead and click it. And we see that they actually opt to save this thing, predicting the Ice Shard. So Ice Shard was absolutely in range to KO there. And we see Milotic come in. So I'm like, okay, Milotic comes in here. This will deal, we're going to deal some chip damage to this thing. And I think by this point I calc to see if Crunch can KO. Unfortunately, it cannot, I think, at this range. Or if it does, it's a roll that's not in my favor, if I remember correctly. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to switch into, I think I either switch into Water Balloon, hoping for a Scald or something like that. Or I go, or maybe like Recover so that we can get free webs. That is exactly what I do. I'm praying for free webs here. So I go into this thing. Unfortunately, my Milotic, you saw there, does go for a flip turn, which is very unfortunate. And they do go into the, whatchamacallit, the Zeppelin. They do go into Thundy here. In a second. I hate how, like, in my skip forward thing, it doesn't have a 10-second thing, and it sucks. I hate it. We do see Zeppelin the Thundurus come in, so I'm like, okay, we fire off a Liquidation here, doing a crap ton of damage, almost KOing, by the way. It was a roll. That was a straight-up roll. And actually, let me see here. I misspoke a little bit. I think my opponent did end up going for... Oh, yeah, my opponent ended up going for Recover. I apologize. My opponent ended up going for a Recover here as I swapped in Araquanid. So then I was like, okay, they're going to switch out my Milotic here. They're going to go into the, whatchamacallit, they're going to probably go into Thundy. So that's why I clicked Liquidation there, dealing a crap ton of damage. Probably predicting me to go for Sticky Web, but I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. So I go ahead and click Poison Jab, forgetting that this is a Physical Thundurus with Acrobatics. That was a throw on my end. I absolutely threw on that. So this thing is very much a major threat at this point. But here, thankfully, I can just go into Blueberry Goatku because I do outspeed this thing. And I can just click Aura Sphere or Flash Cannon, basically whatever I want to here. But then that brings in my Milotic. So this is a very rough position for me to be in. I'm also Terra Stellar kommo-o, so I cannot go into kommo-o to live the acrobatics. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go into Cobalion here. And just fire off a Flash Cannon, I believe. Yes, I do fire off a Flash Cannon here if I remember correctly. So, or no, it's an Aura Sphere. It is an Aura Sphere because I'm predicting the Milotic to come in. So unfortunately we do see the swap, so Thundurus lives to say another day, which is very terrifying. That Pokemon living was very, very massive. We see Taylor the Florges actually come in here, so which shocks me because this was my answer for Florges. So we do see that it takes it fairly well. We do have Metal Sound, just in case this is a specially bulky variant. But I think here what I do is I click Flash Cannon, which does a decent chunk of damage, and actually by decent chunk I mean quite a bit, and it was a crit. That's why, it was a crit. And we do see the Wish, so I'm like, okay, crap. Something's going to be able to come in here for free, and that's a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and click Metal Sound on the next turn, so that way you can at least weaken something down, because I can still take a hit from the, whatchamacallit, I can still absolutely tank a hit from the Roaring Moon, so I can just go for a Metal Sound and guarantee that I just KO it on the next turn with an Aura Sphere, if they want to switch it in or anything else. And we do see a Protect as I go for a Metal Sound, so it's Wish Protect, probably Moonblast, and maybe one other, like, support move as well, so that is good to note. That it is Wish Protect, and this thing is going to be very, very hard to break down. We do also, unfortunately, reveal our Metal Sound to Tech, So I just click it again, or maybe I just click Flash Cannon. I don't remember what I clicked, but I do just click Metal Sound here, as Florges is going to be heavily weakened on the special defensive side, which is very, very good. We do just see a Moonblast, not a Wish, so which does a decent chunk of damage to me. But here I just am like, okay, I just need to click Flash Cannon here again. Unfortunately, Florges could very easily switch out here, which is not the best scenario, but it is what it is. There's nothing much we can really do about it. So it's unfortunate I can't really take another Moonblast that reliably, but at the very least this thing is at -2, which is very good. And they do opt to actually stay in, so we get a major chunk of damage off on this thing, which means that this Pokemon is no longer a reliable switch for Chien-Pao. Or like a reliable switch in for Chien-Pao, at least for now. They would have to fire off another Wish Protect, which is going to be very, very hard for them to do, because my team is very much on the offensive end. This just gives me a very free Chien-Pao switch, and Chien-Pao basically picks up a KO. Actually, no, I go Knife here. I do go Knife here because the reason being is, I think so that way I don't lose more Life Orb Chip, if I remember correctly. I could have easily gone into the Weasel Town there, but I think I also didn't want to risk the Icicle Crash and miss. So I see an opportunity to go for Swords Dance. I click the opportunity to go for Swords Dance here because I realize that this thing can't do anything to me, basically. We do see a Baton Pass, so the one move it does have is Moonblast to hit me with, which is good to note. Baton Pass, I believe a Baton Pass, if I remember correctly, into Roaring Moon, probably. Do we see Roaring Moon? We do see Roaring Moon, which is exactly the plan that I always had. Because I'm like, okay, I can just click the Close Combat button. It should KO from this range because I am a +2. Knockoff shouldn't be able to KO me because I am, in fact, the Culver Berry. We see Outrage here, which I'm like, okay, yikes, that's not good. Yeah, that's not good. Not good at all, my friend. So I realized that, oh geez, I might have thrown a little bit. If I remember correctly, I do think this Roaring Moon was in fact Choice Scarfed. And I'm like, well, that's unfortunate. I threw away Cerulege here because I thought I could live in Outrage, and I thought they were going to go for a knockoff, but they didn't. They didn't go for a knockoff, they went for an Outrage. So, but thankfully this does give me a very free switch, so at the very least, this Roaring Moon is going down, because guess what? It dies to an Icicle Crash. Which is exactly what happens here. It does die to an Icicle Crash. Bada bing, bada boom, very easy play on my end. Boom! Thankfully we do land it and it does die. And then as you see here, they do send in my Milotic here to counter, so I end up swapping out and I go into kommo-o. Because if there's any rare time for me to switch or to sweep with kommo-o, it's when it's up against my Milotic. I just have to pray to God that it doesn't go for flip turn. This was a major throw. This was a major throw on my end because I could have had Soundproof. And I don't know why I ran Bulletproof in this game. I should have run Soundproof in hindsight. This was very much a throw. This was a massive, massive throw in prep on my end. This was a very major mistake. I should have run Soundproof. This was a very rough mistake for me to make here. It is what it is. Nothing much I can do about it, but now I'm like, well, I just lose. There's nothing I can do. I just lose. So, which is very unfortunate because even though we do Terra Stellar, we're still quad weak to the fairy attack. I can go for a Drain Punch here. I can go for a Dragon Claw here, but it's not going to KO this thing. We click Drain Punch, bada bing, bada boom. It does not do any amount of damage, so they can just freely go for Recover on the next turn or KO me here. And it just is what it is. They do actually opt to go for a flip turn. And they flip turn, I believe, into Thundy, if I remember correctly, because Thundurus, yeah, they do. You see that they flip into Thundurus here, and they pick up the KO with another Acrobatics. kommo-o goes down, we lose this game. Thankfully, they do let me pick up another KO with Chien-Pao, so it does end up being a 4-0, but unfortunately, this was a very, very rough loss for ya boy. This was definitely a very rough game. No, not good prep on my end, throwing very good prep on my opponent's end, especially with the physical Thundurus set, and just in general, everything just kind of not being great. So, we do, unfortunately, continue the season 0-2. Now, granted, we also went 0-2 at first in the Season 3 of the NBBL, and then we went all the way to runner-up. Runner-up! We won every single game up until runner-up. So, and we were the upper division champion of the playoffs, which is very, very impressive. So, that could very easily happen again here, but I am going to have to play to my heart's content. I do actually go for a flinch here. I do go for a flinch because I realize that is my one chance. Unfortunately, I don't get the flinch here, and Chien-Pao does go down. And now, if I had actually gotten the flinch there, low-key, I could have won the rest of this game. I low-key could have very much won the rest of this game because it was in range of a crunch, and especially after burn, so I probably would have won the rest of this game, unironically, if I had gotten that flinch. Unfortunately, I didn't get the flinch, though, which was valid, so, and at the very least, even if I didn't get the flinch, then I would have at least, the differential would definitely have been nowhere near as bad. But it is what it is. Again, GG's to Matt. Very, very, very excellent prep. I will take this moment to say I did make a couple of trades on this team once I saw a certain Pokemon drop. I almost picked up Comfey, but unfortunately it got grabbed before I noticed it was gone, so I would have dropped Cobalion for Comfey. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but I did decide to make the other two trades that I was thinking about, which was dropping Espeon for Galarian Slowbro, because I realized Espeon is just never, like, it's not going to be useful on my team as a Terra Captain, because I have Terra kommo-o, and I have the Terra Bastiodon. Like, I'm not going to bring Terra Espeon, unfortunately, that much. Especially because it's like, it doesn't have that great of a matchup in a lot of games, at least on my team. It just doesn't work well with synergy-wise on my team. So I dropped Espeon for Galarian Slowbro, and I also gave Araquanid the Terra Captain ability. So I made Araquanid Terra Water, Fairy, and Ghost. Ghost specifically for Rapid Spin blocking, Fairy because, as you can tell by this team that I somewhere put on here, no longer has a Fairy type, because I also dropped Whimsicott, and then Terra Water because Terra Water Liquidation. Duh, like Terra Water, Water Bubble, Liquidation, Araquanid goes crazy. And you can also tell I dropped Whimsicott for Raichu. I was never going to bring Whimsicott. Literally never was going to bring Whimsicott, basically. Despite it being a valuable Fairy type, I was just like, you know what? It's never coming. I'm just going to have to accept the fact that Terra Dragon is going to be a thing. I'm also thinking about dropping Terra Stellar for Terra Fairy on the kommo-o, but that I haven't fully leaned into yet, so I have yet to decide whether I want to do that or not. But regardless, we got Raichu, and I actually opted to swap the Terra from Bastiodon to Raichu, because I was like, I wanted a mixed attacker, I wanted a physical attacker Terra, and I wanted a special attacking Terra. So I was like, you know what, it's worth it at this point, I'm going to give it to Raichu. And I know I just said, like, Espeon didn't really have a place as a Terra Captain here. I do think Raichu has a place as a Terra Captain here, as a speedy electric type that has electric immunity with Lightning Rod for both its flying and water typings. Water being able to hit a lot of things super hard with Terra Water Surfs, and also just hitting, like, a bunch of, like, the Pokemon that would be a switch-in, no longer is a switch-in, and then Terra Flying specifically to bait the ground types, and just be immune to it, and then click Surf because I can and I want to. And then obviously Terra Electric to nuke something. And also because I have to have Stab Terra in this league. So this is the new team. I am feeling much better about this team already. I do wish I had a Fairy type, so if a Fairy type drops in any of the tiers, there's a very good chance I will go ahead and pick it up. There are like a couple of Fairies that are available, like the Dene in tier 5, but I'm not doing that because that is ridiculous. The Dene does not function that well as a Fairy type, in my opinion. So if a Fairy type drops that I like, then I'll pick it up. But as of right now, we are Fairyless other than Terra Fairy Araquanid, but I do think this team is significantly better than my previous team. So again, we are going to have to rely on Rapid Spin Toedscruel, which I don't like, and we also do have Defog on Mandibuzz, which is okay, but this is the new team. Hopefully it'll put in work, but regardless, that'll be the end of this video. So thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you all enjoyed. We are definitely going to bounce back. I promise you that. We will bounce back. We have a very, very terrifying team, and now that it has improved significantly, now that we have an electric type, and we also have a grounded poison type, I think this team is going to put in a lot of work. So, thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Peace out, mates!